Oh, look, it's that lovely little kitty cat. What was his name? It's Mr. Natsume's, isn't it? I don't think we ever asked him, actually. Why don't we call it, Wagahai? You know, like Mr. Natsume refers to himself in Japanese. I wonder how he got in here. Clever cat. Oh, wonderful. Well then, Wagahai, here's something delicious I brought for you I bought for you from the cat's meat man. She already had a bowl and everything? He couldn't be happier now. Look, I just hope we can bring some happiness to his owner, too. So how the heck... Like, is there something behind there? He came from behind here, so... Is there something behind here? That was a cheeky little meow, Wagahai. Oh, but he's so adorable. I could sit and watch him forever. I think he may not appreciate that after a while, and we have an investigation to get back to. Oh yeah, what is this? Newspaper clipping say? Or maybe there's a... Nope. Okay, wait. Manchester Strangeways Prison announced the death of convicted murderer and burglar Selden by natural causes in the early hours this morning. He had been suffering with fever since the end of October. Alerted by the shouts of his fellow cellmate, medical staff arrived to find him already dead before his capital punishment could be carried out. We don't have a picture of him, though. Oh, Mr. Natsume is back. So he is. Mr. Natsume, hello? I am a cat. Sorry? I don't know who Mr. Natsume is, or Herlock Sholmes. I don't know about courts, or trials, or Old Baileys. I am a cat. That's what I am. Just a cat. Mr. Naruhodo, he's trying to escape from reality. Trying to. He already has. Completely. So, what is your name then? As yet, I have no name. Mr. Naruhodo, he hasn't fully thought of his new identity yet. Maybe it's not too late to bring him back to reality. Do you think you could open your eyes for us, Mr. Natsume? I am not a cat. It worked! He's back in the real world. And what's going to become of me? No! Don't answer that. It's obvious. My accursed soul is never going to escape this accursed fate. Mr. Natsume, no. This morning's proceeding in court proved that there's hope. Yes, Lockham student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire was brilliant, but the Reaper is omnipresent, in court, in my lodgings, here, there, everywhere. What's he looking straight at me for? I think perhaps there are some things we should discuss. Oh yes, we must. In my whole life, have I ever been so moved as I was today? No. Of course, if I cast my mind back, there were perhaps one or two other occasions that moved me more. But if I just block those out, then today, being in that courtroom was the most moving experience of my life. Lockham student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. You're too kind. Scotland Yard found the remaining tea just as we deduced and are analyzing it as we speak. There's nothing wrong with that tea. They won't find a drop of poison in it. That's a solemn sworn certainty. Tell me, did you both drink the tea at the same time that night? Oh yes, most definitely. Remember, drink tea while it's hot. We both poured it down our throats like it was a hot bath for our bellies. And at the time, you were both completely fine, as shown by the fact that he and Mr. Shamspear then engaged in the Romeo and Juliet match. I suppose the focus of tomorrow's proceedings will be how the poison was taken by the victim, then. That rotten Shamspear. What have I ever done to him? You don't recall him taking issue with you over anything you've done recently? I've been holed up in my room, immersed in books. I don't recall anything. Anything at all. Right. But what I don't understand is why he didn't let me know sooner. Let you know what, Mr. Natsume? About the soap, of course. What else? Oh dear. Are you struggling with such a meager stipend? Of course I am. If I had money, I wouldn't have chosen to live in an accursed existence with such accursed lodgings. Oh yeah, you said it's because the place is cursed that it's so cheap, didn't you? Exactly, especially the room that I rent. The spirit of that capital offender who lived there still haunts the place, and it's trying to kill me. Capital offender? Might I ask, welcome student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, that the next time you visit me, you will bring scores of super soft soaps. Is this the guy that... No, he didn't die. He died in prison. Do you know this guy? What's this? It's a newspaper cutting that we found in Mr. Shamspear's room. So he knew, did he? Sorry? About this man Selden, a convicted killer, and the evil spirit behind the curse that afflicts my lodgings. What? He's already taken one young man's life, and now he's trying to take the life of another, a miserable mustached, much maligned Japanese man. Mr. Natsume, if you know something, please, you must tell us. Tell us everything you can about this evil spirit. Okay, but do you know who... Maybe not. He might not know who this is. Do you know who this is? No. He don't know. The truth is, I didn't know the details myself until very recently. That Selden man was arrested about a year ago now, and at the time, he was hiding out in lodgings at Mr. Garadeb's house. What? He lived where you do now? That's right, yes, exactly where I live now. In my very room. Oh my, your room was previously occupied by a criminal found guilty of a capital offense? But before his sentence could be carried out, he died in prison. That was 3 months ago now. And that's when it started. The curse. What really is this curse you keep mentioning, Mr. Natsume? It's already caused one death. A few months after the criminal passed away in prison, a man died in the room. The man who rented it after Selden, in fact. The poor lodger, he was found dead in mysterious circumstances. The room was locked from the inside. Locked from the inside? Exactly like the case we're dealing with now. So that's the convict's curse, is it? Yes. Well, that was the start of it. Do you have any idea how the lodger before you passed away? The official cause of death was asphyxia. When they discovered the body, the room was full of gas. Gas? I only found out after I'd signed the lease. When Mr. Garadeb came to tell me later, I couldn't stop myself trembling. In fact, if I'd known beforehand, I'd probably have been too scared to take the room. Landlord's lease, luckily legal. Lucky for Mr. Garadeb, maybe, but not so lucky for poor Mr. Natsume. And now you believe this curse is affecting you? It is. It is. At first, I just felt as though I was being watched all the time. And then you talked about having nightmares, didn't you? The dead are trying to take me with them. They come for me and try to suffocate me. Just when I'm struggling to breathe, I wake up and the room is as cold as ice. What? Why is your room so cold? London winters are too cold to bear without any heating on overnight, but for some reason, even though I light the stove before I climb into bed at night, the pilot light always goes out and the room fills with gas. But that's terrible. That's exactly the same situation as what led the previous occupant's death. And then there's what happened to Mr. Shamspear last night when he was mysteriously poisoned. There's clearly more to that incident that can be explained by a curse, though. Whatever can be the cause of all these strange happenings in Mr. Garredeb's rooms? Okay, we better talk to him then, because I think we can go there. He also might know who the heck this guy is in the picture. Oh, you're here now, Mr. Garredeb. Right Valley business it is for me, you know, getting out and about. Were you at the Old Bailey by any chance? Naturally, fate of my lodgings hang in the balance and all that, not a trial to miss. The fate of what's already been dubbed your haunted lodgings, yes. Of course, the place has caused quite a stir around the capital on more than one occasion already. As the old haunted lodgings or some such. Oh, well, at least he knows. Makes you wonder what the blazes is going on, don't you know? Yes, I'm sure it does. In fact, thinking back to Mr. Natsume's trial just 2 days ago, you were at the Old Bailey then as well, weren't you? Testifying with your wife about what happened. Stopped off at the prison on the way home, in fact. Beastly business. I see. So, what brings you to my haunted abode today, eh? Do you know this person? Mr. Garredeb, could I ask you to look at this photograph? Is that your son who's with you here? Nope, not at all. He was a lodger here once. Duncan Ross was his name. Duncan Ross. A street photographer happened to be passing, so I asked him to take a shot, just for kicks, really. Was he by any chance the lodger before Mr. Natsume? Yeah, that's right. Ah, the young gentleman who died in the room in mysterious circumstances. I thought we saw him. I kind of remember seeing him when we visited the lady. Oh my god, maybe it's my mind playing a trick. I'm pretty sure we saw this guy. Just what Mr. Mustache was waiting for, one might say. Yes, young Duncan lived in the room at the top of the first flight of stairs before the Japanese chap. Would you mind telling us a little more about him? Some fishy fellow from the far east and a failed actor chap of questionable character, eh? Yes, the house does seem to have become something of a magnet for rum fellows of late. Thanks to that ballad curse. The convict's curse, you mean? Heard the stories, have you? Rotten scoundrel was arrested here, then the next chap in the room goes and keels over. Then there was that woman who dropped dead just outside on the street, not to mention the actor the other day. Okay, those two are still alive, though. Am I next, eh? Well, can't help but get the collie wobbles, can you? When you say the woman who dropped dead outside on the street, do you mean Miss Green? Because Miss Green, who was stabbed by the knife, and Mr. Shamspear, who was poisoned last night, are both very much alive still. Yep, well, so is the blasted convict's curse, it seems. Personally, I should be quite content with such lodgings. A bath, a toilet, a fireplace, a fascinating history. Why, it sounds like the lap of luxury. I'm not so sure about that. Well, there's no bath or toilet included, and no fireplace either. But you do look out for your tenants, don't you? By watching the rise and fall of the flames in your gas lamps up here. Yes, never hurts to keep an eye on things in case there are any mishaps or such like. I think you've had your mishap already, sir. That's not helpful, Mr. Sholmes. Heaven forgive me. The words just came to my lips. Some fishy fella from the far east. Oh, Mr. Natsume is in no way fishy. He is undeniably peculiar, however. Is it right that he took the vacancy immediately after the previous tenant passed away? Yes, that's right. I asked the estate agent to find someone, and he popped up the very same day. Never came across a chap so keen for a place with a background, as it were. I don't think it was the room's background he was keen on as much as the cheap rent, actually. So, how long has Mr. Shamspear been lodging under your roof? That failed actor chap? Let me see. Oh, of course. Yes, it's been 3 months now. Quite sure of it. Only 3 months? He's quite new here too, then. And to what do you owe your certainty in that regard, Mr. Garrideb, if I may ask? Well, it was that Selden scoundrel, as it happens. Selden? The convict, you mean? Do Selden and Shamspear have some kind of connection, then? That convict chap, Selden, passed away in the clink 3 months ago now, you see. Some malady or other. Yes, we've seen the report from the newspaper at the time. Well, it was only 3 days later that the tragedian showed his face. The actor fellow. Really? Yes, I remember it quite distinctly. 'Tis small, this world we inhabit. Prithee, landlord, hear my request. I, the humble Shamspear, do desire to take thy room on the middle floor, offered erewhile for rent. Terribly sorry and whatnot, but that won't be possible. I already have a lodger on the middle floor. Ground floor room's vacant, though. Nothing can be made out of nothing. Let me repeat mine will unto thee. Those curls must be muffling your ears. The room on the middle floor is taken. It's the ground floor or nothing. Very well, we have an accord. Glad to hear it. Welcome to Briar Road. Lo, a Shamspear dance to celebrate. From what I heard in court today, sounds like the chap was thieving gas. And he was 3 months in arrears with the rent, too. Yes, the fellow was a bally player, all right. Thank you for your candor, Mr. Garrideb. We are most grateful. By way of appreciation, allow me to say 1 or 2 words. Give me my robe. Put on my crown. I have immortal longings in me. What's happened to you? Shakespeare, my dear fellow, one of his most famous lines. I wish to divulge my own leaning of the subject, for I have a turn for literature too, you know. Perhaps you could turn your attention to more apt lines, then? Yes, Duncan Ross. Young chap was attending art school. Had to work to pay for it, mind. Moved into the middle floor room about a year ago, after that criminal Selden was arrested. Young students are always on the hunt for rooms with a history behind them. A history of cheap rent, maybe, yes. Yes, well, anyway, it was one morning about a month ago now. Hadn't quite worked out the old trick of watching the gas lamps to see what my lodgers are up to at the time. But sadly, I was rather tardy to discover what had happened. The smell of gas that alerted me, it was. Ah, yes, synonymous with the smell of death. Called the police straight away, of course, and the officer kicked the door off its hinges. But once we got inside, we all badly collapsed. Because of the gas? Yeah, the room was full of it. No air at all. Stove must have gone out while the poor chap was sleeping in his bed. So Mr. Ross suffocated to death. Of course, the police gave me a sound ticking off because the gas pipes were so old and all that. Can't tell you how much it set me back to have the lot replaced all over the house. But even after you had all that work done, Mr. Natsume says the same thing, that the stove goes out at night whilst he's asleep in bed. Well, that's the Bally curse, the convict's curse. I've done my duty as a landlord now. Someone's feeling defensive. Oh, that reminds me actually. Yes, about young Duncan, the night before the poor chap perished. He'd been writing a letter of affection to a young lady. A love letter, you mean? Yeah, where did I put it now? Oh, here it is. Left it on my desk. If you'll excuse me. Let me see now. What does it say? To my most beautiful and charming sweetheart. Do you think that we should be reading such a personal piece of correspondence? My dear Miss Susato, that is precisely why I prefaced my reading with, if you'll excuse me. I will not excuse you, Mr. Sholmes. No. Sadly, he didn't address it, though. So I have no means of delivering the thing. Rather sad, actually. Or really. I see. That's going to play on my mind. But really, the identity of Mr. Ross's sweetheart has no bearing on the case. I think we should leave well alone. Yeah, I suppose you're right. Indeed, the intended recipient's address is missing. However, there's a name attributed to the man's most beautiful and charming sweetheart. Mr. Sholmes, please, I've already had to chastise you about this once. My undying love to you, my colorful darling, Olive Green. Oh. Olive Green? The woman who was plunged into a coma after a knife plunged into her back outside this house 5 days ago? The victim of the last case Soseki was in court for, who regained consciousness only yesterday? Is it just chance that her name has come up now? Could it possibly be a mere coincidence? Whatever can this mean? Reading personal correspondence can have its merits, you see, Miss Susato. Okay, so I guess we gotta go there now. I thought she was leaving, though. Maybe it was like... Wait, how long in the day is it? What? Mr. Naruhodo, I've just finished speaking with the doctor. It seems Miss Green is well enough to be discharged at last. This is good news, but hopefully just before she leaves... Oh! What is it? It was the picture of the guy. It wasn't him. Like, actually. Oh, okay. See, I knew I recognized him somewhere. I did see him. It was this picture, right? Miss Green? What was that? She clearly just hit something behind her back. One moment. I'll be with you in a jiffy. Oh, hello everyone. What are you all doing here? The doctor has said I can be discharged, so I'm just getting my things together. Miss Green, what were you just doing? Oh, nothing really. I was just about to take some medicine the doctor prescribed for me, that's all. Well, we were hoping to have another quick chat with you, if that's alright. I don't really have anything else to tell you. Alright, she's definitely behaving strangely. Let's see if we can't coax something out of her. Do you know this man? Miss Green, we were hoping to ask you about someone. Mr. Duncan Ross. You knew him, didn't you? Oh. Oh no, I'm so sorry. The bottle of medicine fell down when she did. Oh, Miss Green, are you alright? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to startle you like that. No, it's alright. I just wasn't expecting it. But how do you know about Duncan? Mr. Ross had been writing a letter when he passed away. The landlord found it in his room. It was a very personal letter to you. It was at the art school. That's where I met Duncan a year ago now. He was working to fund his studies. He dreamt of becoming a professional artist one day. And the two of you became romantically involved? Yeah, that's right. We were very much in love. We were engaged to be married, actually. That's why he decided to move into a cheaper room to save money for the wedding. And that's what led him to Mr. Garrideb's. Yeah, he told me before he found the worst but cheapest room in the entire East End. And then 1 month ago, that's when it happened. We're so terribly sorry, Miss Green. Well, it's all in the past now, I suppose. Poor Miss Green. She looks desperately sad. I was starting to think that's just her look. But now I see that she has every reason to feel the universe is against her. Mr. Duncan Ross. Who would have ever thought he was engaged to be married to Miss Green? To lose one's beloved fiancé must be painful enough. But then Miss Green suffered that awful injury, and outside her fiancé's former lodgings too. They can be very cruel sometimes. This is the card that Miss Green was looking at so intently before, isn't it? Hey, we shouldn't be peeking at a young woman's private effects. Right, I should save peeking for gentlemen's effects only. You mustn't do that either. And maybe you, Susato, shouldn't be peeking into a young man's mind either, huh? The bottle fell off before when Miss Green collapsed. That was quite an earthquake. Whatever was in the bottle. Honey, maybe? Or treacle? Or syrup? Or all three mixed together, even. Hey, you've been having a lot of very mean thoughts during this exchange. I'm disappointed in you. Sorry. It's wonderful news that you're going to be discharged, Miss Green. Oh yes, thank you. Once people are better, the hospital staff don't want them lingering and wasting space. Not people like me, anyway. So I don't think I should keep anyone waiting. I probably shouldn't stand around and chat. She certainly doesn't seem to be in the mood to talk, that's for sure. I do hope you won't be thinking I'm rude, but would you mind leaving me in peace now? I have to leave the hospital soon. Oh, I'm so sorry. We didn't mean to hold you up. Of course, we'll be on our way. Mr. Naruhodo. Surely you were not about to leave. That's quite out of the question, because there is a dead rat. There is a dead rat behind you. Mr. Sholmes, I didn't realize you were here. But of course I was, my dear fellow, watching intently from the shadows as always. Well, make your presence known next time. Mr. Sholmes, what's this about? Something which occurs to me with some regularity, Miss Susato, is this. Why do detectives insist on such an ex post facto modus operandi? Why solve a case after it's happened, instead of preventing a case before it happens? That is what sets a great detective apart. What do you mean? There is a case waiting to happen under our very noses, Mr. Naruhodo. So let us avert disaster. Let us prevent this case from ever happening with nothing but careful observation. Okay. All the clues you need are set before you. You need only look, and you cannot fail to see. You can do it. I know you can. There's a fucking dead rat after it drank this quote-unquote medicine. That mouse seems to be dead. Look, I didn't notice it there before, did you? I think perhaps it drank the medicine that spilled out of the bottle. But that's the bottle that Miss Green was about to drink from when we arrived. You don't think... Ah, I see you've come to appreciate the true nature of this scene. That of a tragedy about to take place. Yeah, I think it's falling into place. Miss Green, the contents of the bottle you had before has spilt out on the floor, and the poor mouse that drank it has sadly died. I think it's clear that the bottle must have contained a powerful poison. Don't worry, I will attend to the mouse presently. No good on Susato. Miss Green, were you intending to go the same way as that rodent? To take your own life? Once we'd left, you would have put it to your lips again, wouldn't you? And taken the poison? No! Miss Green, please talk to us. "10 seconds later, and we would have arrived at a very different scene here. In all probability, we would have not enjoyed this most delightful conversation. Of course, perhaps it hasn't been quite so delightful from your perspective, Miss Green. Actually, in a way, now that everything's out in the open, I feel like a weight has been lifted. Tell me, how did you acquire that medicine?" Well, with this being a hospital and all, when the doctor comes to examine me in the mornings, he always leaves the medicine cabinet open for a while, so I snuck this out when he wasn't looking. It conspicuously lacks a label. I wonder what it contains. I'm afraid I don't really know, but I thought if I drank it, it might just stop the pain somehow. Oh, please, Miss Green, don't talk of such things. Well, it seems clear now that it contains poison. Yes, that poor little mouse is proof of that. Oh no. Oh, it's all my fault. What have I done? I shall remove this to my office, Miss Green. I take it you have no objection? No, none. Okay, it definitely feels as though this card must be relevant. I mean, when we first arrived, Miss Green was standing with it in her hand in what can only be described as a very tense atmosphere. Yeah, it may very well be related to whatever incident Mr. Sholmes believes was about to happen here. Perhaps we should ask Miss Green about it. Neither the sender's name or address appears to be written on the envelope of the card. It arrived by post at my home the day before the incident that put me in the hospital here. I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Come to the Slug and Salad on Briar Road at 5 p.m. on the 17th. Don't tell anyone else about this letter or the meeting. It is a matter of utmost importance. Wait a minute, the 17th of this month? That's the day you were stabbed on Briar Road. And 5 p.m. is precisely the time when the incident occurred. The Slug and Salad. Yes, a pub on the northern corner of Briar Road. Briar Road being the street that Mr. Garrideb's house is on. Does this mean that... Yeah, I'm sure you've guessed. That day, when I was struck in the back by the knife, I was actually on my way to the slug and salad. Goodness. So that's what you were doing on Briar Road that day. I'm sorry I didn't say anything before. I think I really will have to ask you to excuse me now. I've told you everything. Yeah, I'm very sorry to have had to drag up such painful memories for you. No, it's fine. Please promise us you won't try to do anything like that again. Yeah, don't worry. Your detective friend has the bottle now anyway. And besides, I've been stabbed in the back and had a close shave with a bottle of poison, and I'm still here. I think I'm destined to see things through to the end. It might sound a little conceited, but, well, that's how all this has made me feel. Leaving Miss Green and St. Bartholomew's behind, we made our way back to Baker Street with Mr. Sholmes. Well, it would appear we've reached the end of the investigative trail for today. Yeah, it's late. And, Mr. Naruhodo, did you discover anything that may be of use to you in court tomorrow, do you think? There was like that envelope, right? Yeah, this. So I guess he's the one who sent this? So is he the one who stabbed her? Wow, he really has it out for for Natsume, huh? Okay, yep. Details about Mr. Shamspear, Mr. Garrett's lodgings, the convict Selden. There are many facets to this case, and we're yet to see to the heart of it, if you ask me. That's my feeling, anyway. I can't help wondering about the results of the analysis. Into Mr. Natsume's tea, you mean? Yes. Will they have found poison in it or not? Well, I fear that either way, it will be hard to escape the grip of our friend, Mr. Reaper. Oh dear. Yes, Barak van Zykes. But I wish you every success, of course, and though I was late to rise this morning, tomorrow will be a new dawn. I intend to spring from my bed at a crisp hour and attend the trial. Mr. Sholmes, you're going to come? Indeed. Whatever happens, I shall be there. Assuming my eyelids cooperate with me in the morning. Well, I think we've done all we can. All that's left is to remain focused and keep fighting for Mr. Natsume's cause until the very end. London, the world's most prosperous city, home to some 6 million people, but away from the razzle-dazzle, down back alleys and behind bricked-up windows, the lonely lurk. Sosuke had battled long and hard with loneliness during his many months here, and so I felt honor-bound to battle equally hard for my compatriot, to lift the curse that gripped him. As for Mr. Sholmes, as Mr. Sholmes said, tomorrow would be a new dawn for all of us. Okay, maybe we can finally get to the bottom of what the fuck happened here.